They say a house holds secrets, but some secrets scream from the walls, bleeding into the silence until someone finally listens. It started with the scent, not the usual stale beer or cheap cologne that clung to my son-in-law's furniture like a bad memory. This was something older, something rotting. I had come to clean. I left with blood in my mouth. 3 years. That's how long they said she'd been missing. My daughter, my bright, stubborn, beautiful girl. The police shrugged. Her husband cried on cue. I stood graveside without a body, holding my wife's trembling hand, nodding like a man accepting fate. But inside I was still listening, still hunting. Life had gone quiet. I retired early. My wife and I barely spoke. The only tether left was Adam, my son-in-law. He still called me Dad, still invited me over, still smiled like he hadn't buried my daughter in our memories. So when he called and asked if I could help clean out his basement before selling the place, I said yes. Quietly, I arrived before he did. I wanted time alone. The basement was darker than I remembered. Mold crawled up the concrete, and mildew clung to every breath. I moved boxes, cleared tools. Then I found the door. It was part of the wall, flesh-painted, no handle. But I noticed faint scratch marks near the baseboard, fingernail marks. It took me 20 minutes and a crowbar. She was there, chain, pale, breathing. When she saw me, her eyes barely opened. Her lips were torn, throat dry, but she whispered, "I can't take it. Help me, Daddy." I moved toward her, then froze. Because as I reached for her neck to check her pulse, to hold her face like I used to when she skinned her knees as a child, I saw the chain. Not the rusted links, but the padlock, engraved. A plus E Adam and Emily. That was their wedding logo. Their initials. His idea. His obsession. And just like that, the past 3 years reassembled like a shattered mirror. The way Adam refused to let us in the basement after she vanished. How he rushed the funeral. Took down her photos but kept wearing his ring. How he changed the locks and renamed the Wi-Fi to Emily is Gone. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I carried her up the stairs like a soldier, carrying the last body from a battlefield. She passed out of my arms. And when Adam walked in, keys jangling, smug as ever, I didn't say a word. I just stepped aside, letting him see the broken thing he thought he'd hidden. His face didn't fall. It froze. That told me everything. No shock. No denial. He wasn't just a monster. He was proud of it. I told him to sit down. Calmly. He didn't dare move. I called 911. Told him I'd found my daughter alive in my son-in-law's basement. That was enough. But the real punishment wasn't prison. It was what came next. The media tore him apart. Local hero's son-in-law kept daughter chained for years. His employer fired him the next morning and sued him for fraud. His accounts already drained. I'd quietly been monitoring them. Transferred what he stole from Emily's savings back to her name. The house? Not his anymore. My lawyer had filed a motion before the arrest. My daughter's name was still on the deed. We held the next family dinner in his dining room, with Emily at the head of the table. She didn't talk much, but when she did, her voice was stronger than I expected. He thought he could love me into submission, she said. But all he did was give me time to remember who I was. That night, after everyone left, I stayed behind the lockup. I walked to the basement door, now padlock-free, and stared into the dark. Some ghosts you don't bury. You let them haunt the right person. Now, every day he wakes up in that cell, he knows the world remembers, knows I'm still alive, knows she's still alive. Sometimes I wonder what gave him the courage to chain someone he called wife, to erase her from the world while pretending to mourn. Maybe he believed I was too broken to look twice. He was wrong. Betrayal is an art, but so is revenge. And I paint slowly, with precision, with silence, with patience. I need to raise my voice. I just needed to let the truth speak louder than the lies. He tried to bury her in darkness. I dragged them both into the light. They say a house holds secrets, but mine holds justice. Ask ChatGPT.